Okay, now the session is being recorded. Anything to everything that we discussed today can be rerun through the video recording that you will receive. So reports in Google Analytics. We have seen how do we access the report. We have seen the report structure, report format. We have seen few reports already in Google Analytics. So on the left hand side, you have 5 different report categories, or rather I should say top categories: real-time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversion. Each report has sub reports. What's the purpose of organizing reports in 5 different categories? The purpose is pretty clear. If you want to see real-time reports, you don't have to search through all different 50 plus reports which are available in Google. You can simply find them under the real-time tab. So let's try and understand purpose of each of the tab here, the collapsible or expandable tab here, and then we will go through the reports also. So we have discussed this already, so I will keep it short. Real-time reports. Real-time reports, as they suggest, you get the real-time information, not about everything, but like, hey, are there any conversions happening real time? Where are people coming from? Where are they coming from, etc. And these are, I would say, near real time. So expect a delay of up to 15 to 20 seconds. These are not like real time. These are near real time report. Audience. So if you want to understand information about your audiences, that means people who are visiting your website, you can go to the audience and find information like what? Information like where are they coming from, what device are they using, how often they come back, what language they use. All that stuff you can find here. Acquisition report, as the name suggests, how you are acquiring users. So if I'm bringing in 100 users per day, how am I bringing them? What's the contribution of social media? What's the contribution of SEO? What's the contribution of paid campaigns in bringing those 100 people to my website? Because if 100 people are coming to my website, not necessarily all 100 people will come by search engine. It will be a contribution by all different channels we want to understand, and we can understand that under the acquisition reports. Then we have behavior report. If you want to know what people are doing on your website, then you will go to the behavior report. You will try to understand their behavior, then go to the behavior report tab. So what does behavior include? It's pretty interesting. Let me open this tab. So what's the most consumed site content? So if you're running a blog, which is the most popular blog post? How is your site doing? What people searching on your website? What are different events? Are you earning some money? And all that stuff. Conversion, if there are any conversions happening, if there are any goals triggering, if you are into e-commerce, then your e-commerce report, all that stuff you can find under the conversion tab. So these are the 5 different report types that you can see in Google Analytics. We will go through each tab and we will discuss most important reports. There are more than 55 reports available in Google Analytics. So of course, we can't discuss all of them, but we will discuss important reports which you will be using on day-to-day basis if you become a webmaster, or the reports which you will need to answer about in your interviews. All those reports, we will take care of that. So I see a question, is it mandatory to create a view before creating a filter? No, you can create a filter and then create a view. And inside a view, when you try to apply filter, choose option, use existing filter. Let's jump on to the real-time reports now. You should always keep your main view untouched. Do not add any filter there, because if you mess up with view, you will lose that data permanently. Okay, real-time reports. So right now on the Google merchandising, this is not my website. So whatever dollar numbers you will see, I don't earn that money. Whatever traffic that you see, that's not on my website. This is Google's merchandising store, the demo account that we have talked about. So I can see that there are 200 people on my website right now. Where are they coming from? The answer is on the left hand side. On what pages those people are. So again, that answer is on the right hand side. You can see the URL and the number of people on that particular page. These graphs on the top will keep on updating. So graph on the left hand side will be pretty slow because that gives the information what has happened in last minute. But right hand side graph will move pretty fast because that is getting updated every second. If you scroll down, you will also see a geographical map. You will see from which location people are accessing your website from. Right now, it is only showing India, but if the traffic is from different countries, it will show different countries and dots on those countries as well. So, report which events. So, how many people are taking it? Let's say, for example, product view, if that is an event, if purchase is an event, or if people downloading the brochure, people writing comment on my website. If I'm tracking these things as an event, I can see it in real time. How many people are downloading the brochure? How many people are watching video on my website? How many people are adding product to cart on the website? This I can see in real time. These reports are pretty helpful. Say, for example, you send out an email to your 1 lakh subscribers. What I used to do, like whenever I used to do a update on my Facebook fan page, I will give it a minute or two, then I would come to real time reports. And I used to enjoy how the numbers would go up because the Facebook status update would reach out to people and people would click on it, they come to website and they would again start to share the content. The number will keep on increase. So it's quite encouraging to see this report when you have a website, when you have campaigns that actually work. Pretty interesting report. So you can come here to understand what's happening on your website real time. If there are any conversions which are taking place on your website in real time, you can find them here. So here you will see no, zero conversions are happening on my website right now. However, tracking conversions in real time will be difficult. So we have an option called as, okay, look at the last 30 minutes window. Are there any conversions happening in last 30 minutes? Yes. So if I move to 30 minutes window, I can see that I had one registration on the account or rather on the website and 5 people entered the checkout process. 0 people have completed, but 5 people have at least entered the checkout process. They might convert. So these are the real-time reports. The next reports are audience report. So you will see that under audience, there was the first link was overview. Every report, the first link will be overview. What is the overview? So overview, as the name suggests, gives you an overview about important reports under the audience tab. So there are different reports, but if you just go to the overview, you can get understanding of okay, what's happening with my website. So with this single report or single overview, I can get information about okay, what's the trend, how many people, how many users are coming to my website, and about few other metrics. So let's go ahead and discuss these metrics so that it becomes easy for you to understand more about what's happening on your website. So overview will not give you detailed information about that particular metric. So if you want to understand about language, and if you want to understand, okay, what's the bounce rate of people accessing my website, say from China, or people whose language is said Chinese in their browser, you can find it right here. But you can go to the view full report. There is a link at the bottom right corner, view full report. You can click on it and you can navigate to the language report. But this is to give you an overview of. So I want to understand country, what's happening in the country. I can simply click on the country link. I will get the top 10 countries from where people are visiting my website. I can click on view full report and I can go to the geographic report. So on the top, let me increase the date range. I can increase the date range to last 30 days. Click on apply. GB is Great Britain, Pallavi. Okay, so the date range is increased, so we have more data to see. The graph, you will see it is going up, then going down, up, down, up, down. This is the typical trend for any website you will see. The down period is typically Saturday, Sundays. Again, it goes up on Mondays, continue to go up till Wednesday. Thursday, Friday starts to come down. Saturday, Sunday on their lowest. This is the typical trend for any website. Now, what I am interested to look is, okay, this is a typical behavior. There is no all of a sudden down to bottom, or there is no sudden spike in the traffic. If there is sudden drop in the traffic, I would like to investigate why my traffic dropped by 60% on that day. Maybe there was a server outage, maybe my analytics code was removed. There can be n number of possibilities. You have to troubleshoot for that. If there was sudden spike, you will again want to understand what caused the spike. Something went viral on my video, or my website, or my campaign went live and that campaign was really very success. There can again be a number of probabilities, reasons, sorry, and you will have to find them. If you come down, few interesting numbers. I check these numbers every day. So when I log into Google Analytics, I go to audience, I go to overview, I check these numbers every day. This is my ritual. Pallavi, as I said, you will have to troubleshoot for that. So users, 49307 users. That means I had 49,000 users visiting my website in the given time range. So always remember, whatever the numbers are on your screen, these are not for whole of the lifetime period of the website, or not just last minute. Whatever date range you have selected on the top, for that date range, all these numbers are valid. 49,000 users visiting my website. Out of those 49, 45,000 were new users, and rest of the 4,000 were, of course, repeating visitors. What is new? New users mean I am visiting your website for the first time. I'm visiting your website for the first time, and repeat visitor means I have already visited your website in the past and I am coming to your website again. How Google recognizes repeating visitors? We all know that there is client ID. If client ID cookie is present, that means user is coming back. If there is no client ID, that means user is coming for the first time. And if you delete the cookies, of course, you will be considered as a new user. Sessions. So one user can give me multiple session. I can give you one session in the morning, or maybe one session on the 1st of January, another session on 10th of January, and third session on 26th of January. One session or one user can give you multiple sessions. So 49,000 users gave me 62,000 sessions on this website, or for this website. And number of sessions per user, on an average, one user gives me 1.27 sessions. How many page views I had, how many pages were viewed by users on my website? 2,57,418 page views. These are different pages which were looked at by users. On an average, 4.12 page views per session. That means when a user comes to my website, starts his session, ends his session, in between that period, he looks at 4.12 pages per session. Now, can you look at 4.12 page? No, it's an average of all users. On an average, people spend 2 minutes 42 seconds on my website, and my bounce rate is 47.61. Now, this bounce rate is for whole of the website. Each page can have its own bounce rate. Like home page will have a bounce rate of 22%. About us page will have a bounce rate of 42%. My blog post can have a bounce rate of 3%. Each page will have its own bounce rate. But when I take average of my website, my bounce rate is 47.61%. Pie chart representing breakup between new visitor and returning visitor. If I scroll down on the left hand side, I see multiple important reports. Like under demographics, system, and mobile, you have 3 reports each. And on the right hand side, you will see details of those reports which are selected. Say, for example, I click on city, top 10 values of the city report will be fetched and showed to you. Not many metrics are shown. Only metric that you will see is the number of users and percentage of users. If you want to understand more about it, just click on view full report. You will go to a dedicated page for that report, and you will be able to see details about those reports. So what are we checking here? We are checking about demographic information of the user. Where are they coming from? What language are they using? Then system. System is nothing but the device they are using to access your website. What browser are they using? What is the operating system are they using? Who is their service provider? Is this Jio, Airtel, BSNL? What service provider are they using? And if people are accessing your website via mobile devices, then again we have dedicated report for them, like what's the operating system, who is their service provider, and what's the screen resolution, etc. Now let's go ahead and start to look at some of the important reports. But please remember, every tab, every report will have an overview section. Just click on the overview and you will get most of the stuff that you need on day-to-day basis here. Because once you become a pro user of analytics, not necessary every day you would like to go into the reports giving you detailed information. But if you see here, okay, something is wrong, why I see a drop here, and then you might want to go here on for that particular date, you want to troubleshoot, go into different reports. But most of the time the overview section will be sufficient for you. So this is the overview. Remember, every report will have overview except for the conversion. Now I want to start with demographics. Let's go into the demographics. I will go into the overview. You will understand what the demographics. We have already discussed this. We may not want to discuss and spend a lot of time on this. Okay, so Pallavi has a question. 40%, is it okay? Anything more than that is bad, Pallavi? It depends on the website. Website with 100% bounce rate is also okay. Website with 10% bounce rate is also okay. And if you remember, why I said that is, say for example, I'm a plumber. I have a one pager website. I will have a 100% bounce rate. But typically for content-based website, lower the bounce rate, good it is. If it is 35%, I am happy. If it is less than 30, I'm more than happy. Anything above 50%, I will be worried. I would like to work on my bounce rate. Good, thank you. Look at, spend half a minute. I will give you half a minute. Just read whatever you see on the screen. Okay, so I think you might have understood this, that this report is giving you information about the age of people visiting your website and their gender, whether it is male or female, and it's not telling you, okay, 18 you age of 1800 user, age of 1922 users. It is giving you information. The information is bracketed in age groups. 18 to 24 is first group, 65 plus is the last group. There are six different age groups, which is pretty standard. But important thing which I wanted you to observe, and if you have observed, well and good, is the thing that you see here. 39.73 percentage of total users. You can see here 39.73 percentage of total users. Now what does that mean? That tells you Google Analytics is giving you information only up for close to 40 percentage of your users. That means for rest of the 60%, Google was not able to recognize what's their age group. And for gender, it is giving you info about 43 percentage. So for remaining of the users, hey, I'm not sure what their gender was, so I'm excluding them from the report. 42 percentage of people, I can guess what their gender was, and the report is here. Now, why would you like to see a report like this? Again, I will take example of Nykaa. Nykaa is a cosmetic brand. Nykaa would like to see a report like this, which is dominated by females. Their traffic is dominated by females. Nykaa would like to see maybe a 80-20, 80% female, 20% males. You can't you can't avoid males coming onto your website. You cannot put a wall that, hey, confirm you are a male and then only come. Husbands can come to Nykaa.com and buy something for their wives also. So but prominently, Nykaa would like to see this female ratio is way higher than the male. But imagine Gillette.com, who sells the shaving kits. They would expect a bang opposite. They would expect 80% are male and 20% are female. Because shaving kits, of course, male would like to buy them and not females. How do you know whether I'm targeting people right or not? As a webmaster or as an analytics manager, you can come to this report and instruct your social media team, buddy, what's happening? Why I'm not getting female? You are spending money on Facebook. You are spending 5,000 rupees a day on Facebook. And look at the ratio. I'm getting 38% male. I don't want that. Reduce the number. Improve your targeting. You can instruct your social media team based on these reports. So bringing in a right set of users, whether age group or gender, is important for your success, and whether you are doing it or not doing it appropriately, you can find under the demographic reports. That's the importance of the demographics report, and you can find it here under the demographics. What's the age group and what's the gender of people? Then we have geography, of course. Nykaa.com, if I'm selling something in India and I'm getting traffic from the United States, the dominant traffic from the United States, it's of no use to me. So You need to know who are you targeting, who are people. Then where are you targeting? You need to know whether I'm targeting right people or not. In the current age of social media, WhatsApp and everything, you can't say, hey, okay, prominently I should get traffic from India, but it also helps my brand if I'm getting traffic from outside of India. It helps my brand to get recognition, get visibility. So tomorrow if I open my delivery across the globe, people would already know about my brand. But it will it should never be the dominant force, or it should never be the dominant country visiting your website today, because today I'm selling only in India. I want to see 60% traffic from India, 40% rest of the world. So this is where you can go and confirm where people are coming. Okay. How will you switch audience coming to your website from US to India? So here you will have to use other techniques that you are going to learn, like other modules, SEO, social, email marketing, all that stuff. Analytics is just showing you a mirror. You can't change from analytics. Analytics is just quantifying your efforts, whether they are in right direction or not. Now, important thing here that you will have to note is, don't just look, okay, what are my country wise stats? Okay, 37% of traffic is from USA, 8% from India, next 5% from UK, and I have visit from 171 countries. That's not the only thing that you are getting from this report. Continue reading numbers on the right hand side. You will realize that numbers are different for each country. Say, for example, bounce rate. Let's take bounce rate. Bounce rate tells you whether you are bringing in right set of people or not. Because if I'm female and I'm on Nika.com, of course, I would like to go on different pages. I would like to hop on different products. Product 1, product 2, product 3. Whether I'm buying or not buying, I will definitely go through different products. I would like to read the reviews. I would like to see their social media updates. I would like to see what are they posting. I may want to convert as a newsletter subscriber. But if I'm bringing in wrong people, the moment I come to their website, I will say, what crap? Why I clicked on that link? Why I clicked on that ad? It's only for a female website. I don't care. Even if I wish, there is nothing that I can buy here. I will bounce off. So, higher bounce rate is an indication you are bringing not a good set of people on your website. And if you look here, you will see that for each country the bounce rate is different. USA the bounce rate is 33%, while India the bounce rate is 58%. France 60%, Spain 61%. So for each country you will get different metric information available. How many of you know what is dimension and metric? A quick yes no on the chat, please. If you're not just your head, I can see it. That's not going to help. You need to be active on the chat box. Okay, so most of you don't know what is a dimension and what is a metric. I will just note it down here. Very simple. All of you already know that, but you don't know, okay, that stuff is called as dimension, okay, and that another stuff is called as metric. Let's take very simple example. Our college, everyone is here have been through college or doing college. So I'm opening Excel so that I can explain you better. We used to give exams in college. We still give exam in different scenarios even today. But at the end of the day or end of the semester, you get a scorecard, right? So what does that scorecard says? So you will get a scorecard like subject and the marks, right? You will get subject and the mark. So subject can be biology. Let's say I got 82. Subject can be chemistry. I got 92. Subject can be mathematics. I got 35. Okay, that's my standard score in mathematics. Everyone is familiar with this table, or there is any doubt? I have never seen a table like this. Good. So now this table also has dimension. This table also have metrics. It is metrics. Metrics. Matrix, matrix is another story. Don't get confused. It is called as metrics, not matrix. These two are different things. Okay, so coming back, these are my subjects and these are my marks. So anything in this table that you see on the left hand side, these are called as dimensions. So in table, dimensions are typically on the left hand side, and this is for what you are looking that report for. So I'm looking this report for my subjects and their marks. So subject is dimension and metrics typically are on the right hand side and they are numerical values. Metrics gives you information about dimension. Okay, so these are dimensions and these are metrics. Now if you look and in the Google Analytics, you have a similar table, right? There are countries on the left hand side. So instead of subjects, now since we are in a country report, there are countries on the left hand side. These are my dimensions and there are numbers on the right hand side. These are my metrics. So metrics give information about dimension. Bounce rate is my metric. It is giving information about the country. So country is dimension. Numbers on the right hand side, sorry, are the metrics. Clear? What is dimension and what is metric? I'm just trying to be as simple as possible. We are not statisticians. I don't want to get into ugly discussions. This is simple enough for you to understand what is dimension, what is metric. Now, important thing, another thing rather, there is something called as secondary dimension also in Google Analytics. So these are my primary dimensions. So what can be my secondary dimension? So secondary dimension gives more information about the primary dimension. So I can have biology as my primary dimension. My secondary dimension can be botany and zoo. I can have organic chemistry and I can have inorganic chemistry. I can have algebra, I can have geometry. Now each of them will have their marks again. Okay, primary dimension, secondary dimension, and metrics. Clear? If I don't receive a response, I will move on. I will assume everyone is clear, but I would appreciate if you can say yes or no. So these are my dimensions, these are my metrics. So always look for further information about your dimension. So India, is India generating any revenue? Look on the right hand side, I can see 82% of my revenue is coming from the United States. India's contribution is $0. Then who is the third and fourth? United Kingdom and Canada, 154 and $104 respectively. So if I have to spend $1,000 in a month, which country I would like to target? I'm getting traffic from 171 countries. That is good. But where will I like to spend that money now? Perfect. You just took a wise decision and you just took a wise decision, not based on your hinge, but the appropriate data that is available for you. Subdimension. Okay, so what can be a secondary dimension in this report? So under the primary dimension, you will see there is a tab called as secondary dimension. There are different options available. You can choose any of them. If you click on commonly used, you will see different options available. But now, please be careful. If you choose something, say for example, city, it will mess up your report. Why? Because under United States, I might have 100 different cities. So USA, it will say USA, USA, USA here, and on the right hand side, the city name will come. Let's try and do that. So just be wise what primary and secondary combination you are using. So now I'm saying country, primary dimension United States, secondary dimension New York, and I can see the numbers. Again, in between you see the number 3 contestant is London. Now why London came in between? Because the reports are arranged based on the user count, highest to lowest. How do I know this report is based on the user count? Because you can see there is a downward arrow next to user. That means this whole report is arranged based on highest to lowest count of users. But say I want it from sessions. Who is giving me highest session to lowest session? Give me that report. Simply click on the sessions. Once you click on the sessions, you will realize the arrow now have shifted to sessions. That means this is arranged based on the session count, highest to lowest. I can do lowest to highest also. Just click here again. The arrow will flip its direction, and now the report is from lowest to highest. But okay, let me be on user. That's the report which makes more sense for me. But now I'm going to remove the secondary dimension. Saranya, I hope I answered your question. Good. Let's move on. Then we have the language report. This language report doesn't mean that what language do I speak in my home or in my country. The language report says what is the default language of the browser. If I like to read content in English, of course my default language set in browser will be English. So you can actually change your language. Like if you are in, excuse me, if you are in France, and you can actually change your language to whatever France. Let's say their language is France. I don't know what their language is, but you can change the language. So what happens when the website loads? It checks what is your default language, what's your language of preference, and it tries to load content in that language. If I have multi-language website, I will set a script that will first check the default language in your browser, and based on that it will render the content. So I can see that English US, English Great Britain, then Chinese, then what is Spanish, France, German, Taiwan. These are the languages from where people are accessing my website. But my website is only in English. I can't do much of it. What I would expect is EN US will always be on the top. If I see EN or what is said HTW on the top with 27,000 user, then I might say, okay, I might be targeting people in wrong country. I should focus on English speaking people so that my message is clearly received by those people. So these are your language and location interest. I hope you guys have completed your AdWords or Google Ads session. If you have, you will know what the interest is. If you don't, I would wait for you to finish the AdWords class. Let's go to the behavior. Okay, new versus returning, frequency and recency. New versus returning. We already know what is new, what is returning, and who are those users. So where do you find the information about those people? So in audience overview, we saw that the pie chart told us the new visitors are higher than the returning visitors, but this is the place where you get more information about new and returning users. So when I say more information, you can see what's the bounce rate for new visitor, what's the bounce rate for returning visitor, how much revenue I generated for new visitors, how much revenue I generated for the returning visitors. So you can see that revenue, new users, I have a revenue of $1820, and new returning visitor, sorry, $2542 of revenue. That is 58% of my revenue is coming from a returning visitor. That means if I make a person come back to my website, the probability of that user converting is pretty high. So I would like to bring in user back to my website. Now, how do I bring user back to my website? That's why we are learning all other techniques like social media. How can I make him like my fan page? How can I make him follow me on Twitter and Instagram? So whenever I post something, he can click on the link and come back to my website. How can I make him subscribe to my email newsletter? I will send email newsletter to him so that he can come back to my website. Remarketing campaigns. Okay, he saw products on my website, but he hasn't purchased it. I will track him on other websites and I will show him advertisement to the same product again. Say for example, I search for flight Mumbai Delhi and I then go read Times of India website. I will see that okay, those same guys are again trying to sell Mumbai Delhi flight to me on timesofIndia.com. So those are remarketing campaigns using which I can bring the user back and they are returning visitors. Probability of them converting is pretty high, which is evident in this report also. Okay, where do I see 58%? Next to the dollar numbers in bracket, do you see 58? in in most of the metrics you will see that. So yeah, it tells you 58% of your users are returning users. So these are new users versus returning users on your website. I would always like to see returning users high than the new users. Why? Because if you have built a nice brand like say Times of India, now Times of India don't have to advertise so that people can come to their website. The brand is established. If I have to read the news, the first website that comes to my mind is timesofindia.com. That means Times of India will have very high percentage of returning users. People come to their website again and again, increasing the count of returning users. So the next topic is frequency and recency. So do you guys understand these terms? What is frequency and what is recency? Yes, no, quickly. What is frequency and what is recency? Okay, so let's take a simple or real life example. Buying milk. All of us buy milk, right? Every morning, all of us buy milk. Some of you might be going to store, dairy, make purchase. Some of you might be getting it delivered to your door and pay once in a month. But you take milk every day, with honorable exception, of course. But I'm buying milk every day here. So what's my frequency of buying milk? Regular cannot be frequency. So the right answer for this question would be my frequency of buying milk is daily. I buy my milk every day. So my frequency is buying milk daily. Not regular, not often. The frequency will be daily. Daily tells me exactly, okay, this action happens every day. Often doesn't answer me. It may be one after 1 day, after 2 days, that is still often. Okay, so the answer is daily. Now, we work hard Monday to Friday. We all work very hard. So what I do every Saturday, I take break, or every Sunday, I take break, and with my family, I go out for dinner. So let's say every Saturday evening, I go out for dinner. There is a restaurant. I like their food. Same restaurant. I go back every Saturday. I go to the restaurant every Saturday. What's the frequency here? Once in a week, I would say weekly. Okay, so weekly is my frequency for going to the restaurant. Now let's say frequency, milk buying. Sorry, recency. What's the recency in milk buying? And what's the recency in me going to the restaurant? Okay, so I would say, tell me if it makes sense. Recency is yesterday. How recently I made a purchase. It can be yesterday, right? Frequency is daily, or it can even be today if I have to be more precise. Food, it will be last week. Okay, so how recently you took that action? How recently you took that action is what you call recently, and how often, in a defined way, how often you do that action is called as frequency. I hope you guys are now clear with the term frequency and recency. If yes, we can go to the report. Good. So let's jump on to the frequency and recency report. This report is going to tell us how frequently are your visitors coming to your website. How recently visitors came to your website. So this is the purpose of the report, frequency and recency. Let me open Google Analytics. Okay, now how do you access that report? It's here. Okay, now I'm in frequency and recency report. Here on the top, you will see two things: count of session and day since last session. Count of session, the number goes from 1 to up to 201. So we have count of session. How many sessions a user is engaging into? One session. How many users are giving you only one session? How many users are giving you two sessions? How many users are giving you three sessions? How many users are giving you more than 10 sessions? If you want to know that, this is the report where you have to come. And again, this is for this particular date range only. Here you will see percentage of total 100%. That means not like gender where it says 42%. This data is for 100 percentage of users. There are 45,000 sessions. That means 45,000 sessions. These are the sessions who never came back. They only gave me 45,000 session only once time. That means, or let me explain in a better way. That was not a good way to explain. Count of session 1, 45,000 session. That means these are the session. No, these are not page counts. These are session. Palle, if you remember session, I can visit home, about, contact, 5 pages and take an exit. Combined activity is called as one session. Hence, it doesn't say page views. It says sessions. So 45,000, these are the people who only gave me one single session. They never came back in those 30 days of period. If they would have come back, they would have given me two sessions and they would be counted in row number 2. 8,000 sessions whose count is 2. And this is evident. You saw our new versus report. It will show you number which is pretty similar to them. Okay, 45,000, no repeat activity, no second session. And the page views are on the right hand side. First column is count, second column is session, and third column is page view. Page views, I got 1,72,000 page views in by people who gave me only one single session. So what is the total session count? It is 62,000. Out of 62,000, 45,000 are people who gave me only one session. And days since last session, 0 to 364. These are days, not dates. Okay, these are days. 0, 1, 2. So say for example, I come to your website on January 1 and again I come to your website on January 2nd. My most recent session was January 2nd. This report will tell me after how many days I visited your website again. It will simply do the difference. Like, okay, first session was on Jan 1, second, and which is the last session is on Jan 2. That means the date difference is of 1 day. This person is visiting me again after 1 day. Okay, so 0 days since last session. That means this guy never visited me again. The day is 0. 54,000 such sessions. 213,000 page views. People who visit my website after 1 day. 1263 session. And there are people who visit my website after 6 months to 12 months also. 200 such sessions. So Google Analytics can recognize the same person coming back to your website for up to 2 years. The cookie will lie on his browser if not deleted for 2 years. So if I visit your website on Jan 1, 2018 and again I visit your website on December 25, 2019, Google will still be able to recognize, okay, this guy came first in 2018, now in 2019. And when I visit the website again, the counter gets resetted to next 2 years. So whatever the last visit was, the cookie expires 2 years after that. please keep this in mind. So this report tells you after how many days a person is coming back to your website. Of course, useful information. How this useful information I can use? I can help with this information. I can convince my management you need remarketing campaign. People are not coming back to your website. Or with the help of this report, people or managers will be able to convince your management saying that yes, look, whatever efforts I'm taking, how nice things are happening. People are coming back to my website. I have 10,000 sessions where people are coming back in first 7 days, or within 7 days they are coming back to my website again. So these are count of session, these are days since last session. Now I see there are a few questions in the chat box. Let me take them one by one. Okay, Abhijit has a question. So if I visit 5 pages in a single session within the date range, it gets counted in first row. If I visit one more page in second session, then it will be added in 6 in second row with total page view as 6. No, the total page view in this case will not be 6. Your row number 1 will say 5, row number 2 will say 1. So row number will say 5, row number 2 will say 1. Pallavi says, Abhijit, refer to when do session expire. I'm talking about count of session at midnight session after 30 minutes. Yes, please explain. I didn't get fully. Okay, got it. Okay, so the last thing is got it. I hope everyone is clear with that question which Abhijit raised. Siddhant, if you're not clear with sessions, please go through the video recordings. It's a long discussion. I won't be able to cover everything, but to summarize, if I come to your homepage about 3 product views and then take an exit, the sum total of activities contributes one single session. Thanks for that comment, Pallavi. So these are frequency and recency reports. These are my behavior reports. Technology reports, if I want to understand technology report, I think we have already covered it. No point in discussing again. Let's go in mobile, because nowadays most of people are using mobile devices to access the website. So it is your responsibility to ensure that your website is compatible with mobile browsers. Website should look equally beautiful on the mobile devices. The way you want to showcase the content for mobile devices will be different from the desktop devices, but you have to ensure that you represent data in equally better or good format, because on mobile there is no horizontal scroll, so you have to take that into consideration. Device category: how many people are visiting my website from desktop, mobile or tablet? Desktop, mobile and tablet, these are the 3 major category of the devices. I would like to understand what people are using to access my website. I can see 71% of users. Here in bracket, the percentage count is 71% of users are using desktop, 27 of them are using mobile, tablet is minor 1.38. I will pass on this data to my developer, to website developers, and I will ensure that, guys, this is the breakup of my visitors. Please ensure my website is looking good to desktop people. And of course, I will again attach the browser report also. I will tell them I want my website to look equally beautiful on mobile devices, because close to 28% people are on mobile devices and I don't want to lose them. And especially when I scroll on the right hand side, I see that 70% of my revenue comes from the mobile devices. That means people accessing mobile are the people, or the people who are accessing from mobile devices are the people who are giving me money. So I will always ensure that my website looks equally beautiful, equally useful, and equally easy to access on mobile devices. Look at the conversion rate. Conversion rate for desktop, conversion rate for mobile. Look at the difference. Tab, it is much better, but the numbers are pretty low. So I will focus on mobile devices. Now I'm telling them, okay, hey buddy, I'm getting 80% of my revenue via mobile. I can also give them list. These are the top 10 mobiles using which people visit my website. You can get list of top 10, or there are 1490 type of devices. Actually, you can get list of all of them. But I will focus on top 10, top 20, or maybe top 25, and I will ensure that my website looks absolutely fantastic on these devices. My mobile website is compatible with these devices and their operating system. These are the top 10 device categories. Now, if you look here, you have mobile device branding also. Actually, you can get the brand information. Apple tops 41% of traffic is via Apple devices, Samsung 18%, Google devices 10%, Xiaomi 6%. How can I use this info in another way? I can actually reach out to these people and say, hey, I get 1 lakh users per day and 60% of them are on Apple. So you can actually go out to Apple guys and say, I can promote your website or any of your offer on my website because 60% of them are on Apple devices. Or if you want to sell mobile covers, what mobile covers would you like to keep on your website? I can simply come here and say, okay, 41% of them are using Apple. The next one are 18% with Samsung devices. Okay, I will keep mobile covers for Apple and Samsung because if I am accessing Apple device, which device again you have info here, I will show them that particular mobile cover. Of course, I will not buy Apple cover if I am a Samsung user. You can do a lot of stuff with these reports, not just technologically, but for your business also. So these are the mobile reports. They give you information about what different kind of devices people are using, desktop, mobile, or tablet, and breakup for the mobile devices. Clear? Whatever we have discussed till this time, from 8 p.m. to till this time, whatever we have discussed, are we clear? Thank you guys. I don't see any no there. I see all the yes. So I will proceed with the next report, cross device. And if you see anywhere beta written after the report, that means Google is still working on that report. Google is still improvising on that report. That report is in beta stage. Initially, all these reports also had beta in them or after them. But after some time, reports come out of beta and you will see beta is removed. Cross device, device overlap. Okay, we don't have access, but I will just give you information about what is cross device or what is device overlap. Imagine this. I want to buy a Samsung mobile. What's the typical thing I will do? I will open my laptop. I will Google I will find few websites. I will look at the products on my laptop. While going to office on my mobile, I will read their reviews. And in the office on my desktop device, I will actually make a purchase. So I used three different devices. I used a laptop, I used a mobile, and then I used a desktop to make a purchase. Now, don't you think so? In the back end, you should know this is the same guy who accessed my website three different times, but through three different devices, and at the end of the day, he converted. Do you guys do this? Do you use multiple devices to access the content and then make a purchase or conversion? Yes, all of us do that. So Google wants webmasters to know that this is the device overlap. So what is device overlap? It will actually show you laptop, mobile, and tablet. What's the overlap? How many people are using three different devices together and then converting? How do we know that? But so how do Flipkart know that this guy is same but accessing different devices or accessing my website through different devices? So we all know Google drops a client ID, and if I even change the browser from if I switch from Chrome to Mozilla, my client ID changes. That means technically I become a different user. But now imagine this. I go to flipkart.com, I have my username as Ashish123 and password, I log in. Whatever device I go, whatever browser I go, will my username with Flipkart change? My username will Flipkart will always remain Ashish123. Whether it's mobile, whether it's laptop, whether it's desktop, or even if the app, my username remains the same. So what if I tell Google, hey buddy, if the user logs in, don't use your client ID. Use my user ID that I'm manually going to set in the analytics, and based on that generate the reports. So now Google knows, okay, Ashish123 is the user ID, and this is common across three different kind of devices, and this user ID accessed my website morning, afternoon, and in the evening, and evening he converted. That means this is the same guy who is converting and using three different devices. Does it make sense to you now how it can be done? And what Google does smartly is, okay, if I log in on this device, say for example, I go to Flipkart here and I log in, it automatically stitches in whatever the client ID I had before versus the new user ID that I have. Now it tells, now it automatically in the background recognizes, okay, this client ID belongs to this particular user. Now it will also do the math. It will also stitch your behavior before logging in to your actual Flipkart user ID. And this technique or this ID in Google Analytics is also called as user ID to keep it simple. Okay. And if you don't have user ID, then you won't be able to do it. You need one common identifier which you can identify on different devices. Can I use IP address as common identifier? No. Why? When I change my device, my IP changes. Even when I switch off and switch on my router, my IP might change. So I need unique identifier which is common across all the devices. What what is the simple way out? The user ID info. Sessions will of course be different, but the purpose is to understand if the same user is giving you different session. Can it be done based on the device ID? No. How can you say? Say for example, my mobile's device ID is something like this, and my laptop's device ID is this. How will you know that this is the same guy? Is there anything that can tie these two things together? No. Can Google tell? It can be Varun and it can be this device can be of Vivek's. God knows. How do we know this is the Varun who is accessing the same website from two different devices? If I have a user ID Varun123, here also the user ID is Varun123, I can definitely tell this is the same guy. Because can I go and do create a Varun123 ID again on Flipkart? Flipkart will throw error. It will say this user ID already exists. Please choose another one. So that's why we do user ID. Now we have to capture the user ID and send it back to Google Analytics. When a user logs in, Google will not know that this user has logged in and its user ID is XYZ. You have to precisely tell the user has logged in by sending the user ID. And when you send the user ID, Google will use the user ID for these kind of activities. Now, how to send user ID? You will need help of your developer. You cannot simply assume that I will copy a simple JavaScript code from my Google Analytics dashboard to my website and Google will recognize that this is the login ID. Your developer will have to send a user ID variable back to Google Analytics. Now, how it can be done? I will give you a link. Please go through that link. You will be able to understand it much better. But theoretically, please understand there is something like cross device which is happening still in beta phase, but Google is working on it and you will be able to understand different devices that people use to access your website. User ID is confidential. Can GA use this? Okay, what information should you send to Google Analytics? And what information you should not send to Google Analytics? There is something called as PII, personally identifiable information. If Ashish123 is my user name and it tells, okay, Ashish is his name, I can guess that. So I cannot send that. But user ID, yeah, that was maybe I should have taken another example, but we are saying user ID and not the user name. What the user IDs look like? User IDs look like something like this. They look like numbers and they don't look like Varun123. Varun123 is user name, but user ID can be these ugly numbers. This is not personally identifiable information. An analyst, just by looking at this number, cannot say this is Varun123 unless and until you have access to your database that says this is the user ID, this is the username. So this is not PII, but Varun123 can be a PII. So I can send user ID, but I will discourage you from sending username or even email address of that user, for example. Not even IP address. IP is also PII. You cannot track IP addresses in Google Analytics, and for the same reason, you do not see any report that shows you IP address of the user in Google Analytics. Vivek, I hope I was able to answer your question. So analytics doesn't have any role in that, Vivek. So Vivek says, how do you say hi, Ashish? Analytics has nothing to do with that. You have different techniques, web development techniques, web different tools for that, that can say instead of hi user, hi Ashish. Analytics will just, as I told you, analytics is just mirror. It is not a canvas that you can paint. It will tell you what you have done. Okay, good. So I will move on to something called as custom. And under custom, you have two things, custom variables and user defined. So yes, Google Optimize is one of the tool that you can use to do that. Say for example, I'm a multi-author blog. That means in my blog there are 10 authors who write content for me. Author 1 is Ashish, author 2 is Pallavi, author 3 is Vivek, author 4 is Varun, so on, so forth. There are 10 authors. Now I want a report that tells me who is the most popular author on my website. For that purpose, I need a variable that captures my author name, right? There is no report called as author name in my Google Analytics. How would I create a report that says author name and it actually tells me Varun 500 page views, Pallavi 300 page views, Ashish 22 page views. That means 22 page views for articles written by Ashish. Do you think such report will help you? Okay. Now, since you believe such reports can help you, then it makes sense to discuss how it can be done. So there is something called as custom dimensions. There is something called as custom metrics in Google Analytics. We now know what is dimension. We now know what is a metric. You can create up to 20 custom dimensions, 20 custom metrics. So I can have something called as a custom dimension CD, custom dimension CD. Okay, I can have CD1, that means custom dimension 1. I can name it as author name and send author name information to CD1 on the page view. Now, how do you send author information to CD1? You have to write a code for that. Or if you are using Google Tag Manager, there are different ways to do that. We are not going to see how to send data using CD1. We are not going to learn the implementation part of analytics. We are going to learn the reporting part of analytics. So I can create a report which uses custom dimension 1 on the left hand side and all other information on the right hand side, so that I can say Varun is the most popular author on my website. Now at the end of the year, when it comes to give them their commission, I can simply look at this report and say, okay, Varun gave me 35% of page views. He is the most popular author. I need to give him highest number of commission apart from salary. Because he's most popular author, I need to value him more. I will give him more commission. So you have custom dimension. So again, you have custom metrics. Metrics, of course, you would like to send numbers in the matrix, not the name of the author or something like that. So whenever you get confused whether I should be calling them metric or dimension, or I will should be using dimension or metric, just visualize the report. Author name. Where is author name going to be on the report? It will be on the left hand side. Okay, so that means it has to be a dimension. And the time spent or the number of Facebook shares, where it will be? It is a number. Author name Suhas, Facebook share 153. It will be on the right hand side. So Facebook share count, if I want to capture in a custom metric, it will be on the right hand side. So these are custom dimensions. These are custom metrics, you can capture up to 20 custom dimensions. You can capture up to 20 different metrics. That means you can go over and beyond whatever default values you can capture in Google Analytics. You can extend and you can capture more information. Like you can tell now which is the most popular movie on my website, how many product reviews a product have. All that info you can capture in Google Analytics. This is custom. Now there is something called as benchmarking and user flow. I will but stop here because we have to discuss Q&A, and most importantly you guys have to go through the feedback link is in your chat box. I have just told you yesterday what's the importance of feedback. I'm not going to repeat today. I will give you a minute or two to complete the feedback, and then I will take your questions and will address them. Let me know once you are done with the feedback. Thanks, Varun. I hope it's not because I gave you the highest commission. Thank you, Sanjeev. I thought so. Thank you, Saranya. Thanks, Abhijit. So there was a question by Varun. He wanted to know something about KPIs. I will address that question also. But if you have something else to ask me, please feel free to ask me. So for this, if you want to consider going through the videos again, you have to go through the implementation plan. Okay. There was an image with the cyclic activities that we have to do. Just if you want to go into detail, you can go through that again. But of course, I'm going to discuss it here too. Okay, quickly finish with the feedback. I'm jumping on to the discussion. So this is week 2, and the question is list down your goal which you have to set up for objectives. List down key performance indicators which are KPIs which you will be considering for each goal. First, you have to assume what kind of website you are creating the measurement plan for. Is it your blog? Or hypothetically, are you considering Flipkart is my website and I'm going to do implementation for Flipkart or Amazon or any technology blog, how to geek that I showed you yesterday? Let's assume you are doing it for your own blog. You write content once in a week, you promote it throughout the week. Next week, you write another story. This is your blog. So, what can be your goal? List down your goal which you have to set up for objectives. So, goals. What can be your goals? We discussed while discussing the goals. Same goals you can take. Goals can be, since this is my blog, content based blog, my goal will be a user need to spend 5 minutes on my website. That's my goal. I don't want user come just skim through the content and disappear in 1 minute. My goal is I want people to spend 5 minutes on my website. That's my goal number 1. My goal number 2 is I want people to subscribe to my newsletter so that I can do remarketing. I can send my news stories to them via email. They can come back and visit my website. That can be my goal number 2. I want people to comment on my web stories. I want them to share content on social media. You can go on. You can have 10 different goals similarly on your website. Now KPIs. What are KPIs? Key performance indicator, which will be considering. Now what will be your key performance indicators? Now when you were discussing about the goals, or when you were thinking about the goals, my goal number one was user spends more than 5 minutes on my website. So of course your KPI will be duration greater than 300 seconds or duration greater than 5 minutes. That will be your KPI. For each goal, just think about that goal. You will be able to realize what is your KPI for that goal. But please remember, you have 20 goals. Do not mention 20 KPIs. Your KPIs should be like, for the whole of the website, I should have like 5 KPIs. Each goal, yes, it will have its own KPIs. But if I have to evaluate the whole performance of the website, I will restrict myself to 5 KPIs. I can have 20 goals. 20 goals can have their own things to consider. But when it comes to evaluating my business, I will restrict myself to 5 KPIs, like the revenue that I generate, the number of product views that I get. Number of page views cannot be my KPI. If I get a million page views and only 2 product views, as a business, I fail. So number of product views will be my KPI, and the revenue that I get will be my KPI. So when I look at the KPIs, I should know whether my business is on right track or not. Revenue increasing month over month, my business is on right track. Please spend time on your assignment. I want you to just train your brain on that, because this is what is going to make. So please understand, these are the stuff which distinct. There are thousands of people who are learning digital marketing. How do you distinguish yourself from them? You actually work. You spend your time on practicals and not just learn the theory. That's the key difference between a person and the person. Okay, so please be serious with your assignments. Whatever you do, please practice on your own website. And I am, of course, here to help you with your doubts. Yes, subscribe to my website. Yes, that can be created with MailChimp. I don't have that word file, Varun, else I would have opened it, but I don't have it. And please remember, I will never solve assignment for you. You have to solve it on yourself. If there are doubts, I am here to help you. Any other question, guys? Any other question that you would like my comments or help with? Perfect. I don't see any questions pouring in. So, guys, we will connect again next Tuesday. We will resume our normal schedule Tuesday and Thursday, and we will continue with rest of the reports in Google Analytics. Till that time, keep practicing, keep reading. We will connect next week. Good night and goodbye.